Hi there's Jan here. This is for my new YouTube channel, Minecraft Stash UK. This will be the first video that's on there, although I've made videos before. Just tell you a little bit about the project. I have a friend who lost her husband recently, and because of that she had to give up her house and quite large garden, and they used to do the garden together, and she's really upset about that. But she's moved into a flat and she's got a small garden and some tubs and things to work from. So I decided for her Christmas gift this year, I was going to make her a gardening yearbook. Very simple. She's an older lady, so she probably really wouldn't know too much about how an album works. So I'm just going to keep it really simple. And while I was doing it, it occurred to me that maybe it'd be useful to film it as well, or to video it as well. So the paper line I'm going to use is called My Secret Garden by Graphic 45. It's really beautiful. I've had this in my stash for quite a long time, and I haven't really had sort of, you know, the main project to use to do it justice, but I think I have this time. So I've got most of my pages worked out and sort of cut out, so hopefully this won't take, you know, very long to whiz through, but I just want to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so this I've put aside. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. I've put this aside for the front cover and possibly the back cover as well. Depends on how much room I've got. But like I say, the paper is absolutely beautiful, and this is the signature sheet. So let's put that out of the way for the moment. There's going to be 5 pages, double-sided, making 10, and then 11 and 12 are the front cover and the back cover. So starting with the front cover, which is January, I've put all these pieces aside. Now I also looked up what gemstones for each month and the flowers for each month, because I thought I'd like to do something kind of special with that. And also I haven't done it yet, but I've got some interesting sort of facts about what those flowers mean for each month. So I'm going to try and incorporate a piece, you know, of that piece of information. So on this front page, all the pages are the same. I don't tend to measure things particularly, but I will just, as I go, I'll give you what measurements I can. So this is the sheet that's going on the inside of the front cover. I've used ivory pearlized cardstock, and it's about 240 GSM. The only problem with it is it's white on the back, so on my pages I've had to double them up so that I've got the ivory colour on both sides, and that makes it a bit thicker, but you know, maybe that's a good thing. We'll see. It's the first time I've done that, so we'll see how it works out. So my pages are 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and as I say, I have six of these, but I have 6 of these, but also I have 6 that have got a gusset on them so that I can fit it together to make an album. I'll show you what I mean as I go on, but this is the inside front cover. So the paper I've chosen for this, to cover this front sheet, is this one. It has this on the back, but I like that, so I'm going to put that on there like that. Now I'm very much into using up all my scraps, paper piecing, all sorts of things. So some time ago somebody gave me these. I think they're coffee stirrers, and I just thought that they'd make really nice plant tags. So I'm going to see what I can do with these. I just need to cover up this bird bit here, but that doesn't look too bad. That looks like about, yeah, it's 1 inch, so a 1 inch punching out a picture of something, and you know, and covering it. I think it would just make some really nice little you know, something to include on each page. So they're plant, I'm going to use them as plant labels. So I've put together a few things here. What I did want to include in each one is a to-do list. So I've printed out some, I've stamped out some of these that say to-do list. Some of them say get stuff done. Some of them say, you know, other encouraging little things. And this, I've just used some beige cardstock that I had just as separate. And my thought is to actually put them on the back of these bits here. So that's that one. This one is a calendar. So I've got this calendar stamp, and I think that that's really good. These are all freebies from a magazine actually, and I like this because you can use it any year. You just need to fill in what the day is on the top. So this is for January. I've put a place here for some goals for her to write down what she wants to achieve in January in the garden, bearing in mind this is gardening year. That's her to-do list for that month. Then in this one I made a cute little envelope, and I've stuck it with you know, those Velcro dots. Because this is double-sided paper, that's what's on the other side of it, which I thought was really, really nice. And so I've made the envelope like that, and I'm going to kind of try and place it on here like this, and you know, we'll see how it goes. And I thought in there she could include any bits and pieces that she wants to put in there. Yeah, okay, so I've also included a little cut apart from the pack, and which I thought was really nice. It's just something about the garden. And on the back I have made a little made a little piece here that will fit on the back, and I've stamped on the camera on each of the places where, you know, where you can put a photograph. So all I need to do is attach that. I've got some little flowers. The gemstone for this month is garnet, which is the dark red. And I have some leaves that I've prepared, and I've got a couple of little pieces that I've cut off because that doesn't entirely fit the page. So I thought what I would do is maybe edge it with some of this and some of this, top and bottom. So I like to use up all the bits and pieces, you know. So let's see how we get on with this. I don't know where I'm going to incorporate these gemstones, but we'll have to have a look and see. Now the flower for this month is carnation, and I don't have any carnations unfortunately, so I'm just going to use a couple of flowers that will tone with it. But anyway, let's see how we get on with this. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to use wet glue or a tape. I guess probably a mixture of both. So let's put that out of the way. Make some space. Let me try with tape to start with, because it is quicker and cleaner and everything else. This is just kind of an experiment really, and let's just see how it works out. I don't work to a pattern or anything, I just kind of make it up as I go along. So I hope it works out okay. And, you know, just reminds her of her garden, and actually not to give up hope that there is, you know, there's still lots you can do in a small garden and also in little tubs and pots and things. So, you know, who knows? I like to use my little acrylic block actually to tear the bits of tape. Gives me a nice straight edge. I don't have to keep picking up and putting down scissors all the time. So that's the tape on that. I think everything else is going to have to be glue, I would imagine. well, I don't know though, maybe I can put tape with this. Yeah, let's have a go with these as well. Put some tape on these. As I say, I prepared each month before I started filming, because I did actually start filming before, and to be fair, it was a bit of a mess. There's so much prep work goes into putting together a little booklet or an album, or even a card, to be honest. So yeah, I spent almost 2 days doing all the prep work, and I have sorted out an overhead rig for my camera. I've been filming previously sort of sideways on, and it's okay, but it's not wonderful. Really, you need to, you know, show it overhead. And I have literally tried everything. I've researched it. I've done everything possible, I think, to try and find out how to do it, or a good method. And obviously, I suppose the best thing is a boom camera, but a boom tripod, but they're so expensive that I thought I would have a go at making a rig myself and see how that works out. And second go, I've made this, and at some point I'll kind of film it and show you how I made it, but I'm just hoping that it works, although this is the first time I've used it, so we'll soon see. If not, I think it's going to go back to being sideways shots, because it's just difficult, very difficult. This tape, look, it doesn't want to behave itself today. Now it's on camera. Normally I don't have any problem with it at all, but today is a different day. Anyway, we'll see how we go with it. So I just have to kind of say up front, I've got a couple of little dogs who tend to bark a lot. So I'm so sorry if you hear them. And the second, at the moment they're in the craft room with me, but the second they start making a load of noise and they go out of here, I can then shut the door on them so that they can't come back in, because they are very noisy and they seem to bark at everything, which is a nuisance. Can't seem to stop them. Tried everything. But yeah, so my apologies up front for that. Okay, so that's the last bit of tape I think I need to do. My aim is to get through at least a couple of pages before, for each, you know, session. Right, I'm just going to go over it with the bone folder and make sure that it's burnished well. Still want this stuff coming up. The last thing I'd want as a gift, you know, if it sort of started coming up. Yeah, so I used VersaFine ink on the printing because of the fine detail on the sort of calendar and things like that. However, I'm not entirely pleased with the printing, although it's good enough for this at the moment, because the cardstock itself is very porous, and so in some places it's really soaked up the ink. It's got nothing to do with the ink, it's not an issue with the ink, it's to do with the cardstock being very porous. Make sure that's up the right way, which it isn't. Good job I checked. but it's okay, it's good enough. It's, you know, it's not absolutely wonderful, but it is good enough. I wouldn't have a problem with sending it out, you know. I wouldn't have a problem with receiving something like this. So, right. So the way I tend to do my lining up is to remove a corner of the tape, fold it back on itself, and then line up the piece that's not taped. Line it up where I want it to be, so I've got plenty of sort of wiggle room. Making sure the borders are pretty much the same all the way round, and just lightly stick that down while I do double check that it's the right way up this time, which it is. And then I can pull out these pieces of tape, just move a few things and give myself a bit of space, and stick that down, and that will then hold it while I remove all the other pieces of tape. Okay, let's get these bits off. There we go, that's the back of that. Let's do this one. This is her to-do list. It's been really handy having these little prints, these little stamps, and I got them as a freebie on in a magazine, and I thought, at the time, I thought I probably won't use those, but they've come in extremely handy when making yearbooks or you know, albums. I've made a couple of albums that were much more detailed than this, a page per month. They're really big, heavy albums. They were really big, heavy albums. They were really, really beautiful, but considering she's an older lady, she wouldn't really know, kind of, she wouldn't want to put 100 photos in, although I have left space in each one to put a little photo. Let's just make sure that's the right way up. Yep. Okay. And you know, just as a record of how she's doing with her garden, she often sends me little photos of her pots and, you know, how things are doing, and it would be really nice for her to have a little record of that. Right, let's see if that, how that lines up on there. I try to make my, if I'm adding something that's going to have a photo on it, I try to make it standard photo size. And this is the small size, it's one up from a passport size, so it is a standard size. It's about 3 by 2 or something like that, I think. Probably could do it quicker with glue. Maybe I'll do some of the others with glue, we'll see. Right, let's give that a burnish. And because this is a double-sided paper, I don't have to keep mounting every single piece, because I can use it both sides. Sometimes you get papers that are really beautiful but they're only single-sided, so on the back would be white, and so I would then have to put a piece of patterned paper on it and then put this on. But because this is double-sided, it's, you know, that's all I need to use, and it was really useful when I came to do this envelope. And I did this on my envelope punch board. Simplicity itself, actually, if you have one of these. And the size I've made it is, it's 4 3/8 by 3 3/8. And I made it that size simply because it will fit kind of diagonally on here, bearing in mind it is going to overlap the sides a bit, but bearing in mind this is the inside cover of the album cover, so it's going to be, the album cover is going to be a bit bigger all the way around anyway, and that will kind of absorb it a bit. I just wanted to offset it a bit. Right, so let's get these stuck. Let's get this stuck together. Let's see how we get on. When you cut anything, you get that, you know, by default, part of it rolls under. So you get that sort of like a thick line. Let's see if I can show you it on here. Yeah, here. See this here? And the way to get rid of that is to simply burnish it with your bone folder. I mean, it's not important here because this is going to be stuck down to the inside cover. So maybe I had better put some tape on this first. So cold here at the moment. We're coming up for Christmas. It's well, it's November. It's just really cold at the moment. We don't have any snow, but we've got very heavy frosts, and got my central heating on. Really got it on quite high, and I guess that doesn't always help with things sticking. It kind of makes it a bit dry. Now I'm not going to peel this backing off because I don't have the cover made yet. The way I tend to do my albums or booklets or anything like that is I make the pages first, and then when I've got the pages sorted out and all the embellishments on, then I can tell how big the spine needs to be. I'll try and keep this to a minimum, so I'm hoping to get away with about 2 inches. So, or less actually if I can, just depends. I'm putting a bit of tape up the middle because it's got to take a little bit of weight. Right, now that can all stay there because until I've made the cover, which I'll do last. It doesn't need to be opened, so there we go. Right, now let's get this on. And the idea is that I want to kind of centrally place it so that I've got room top and bottom to put these thin strips of colour. If I'm making an album or something, I never ever ever get rid of any pieces at all until right at the end, because no matter, I mean, this is less than 1/8 of an inch, and it just goes to show you how much can be used. Let's trim that off a bit, and I guess this is the same. Let's line those two up. Trim that off a bit. I'm going to use magnets in this album, but because I've got like really weak magnets, I ordered the wrong ones. I probably use 2 in a lot of places where I would normally use 1. Right, okay, so let's try to line this up. Tip back a bit of tape. I should say up front as well that I've got really, really shaky hands, so just apologise for that right now. See if I've got that level as possible anyway. Yep, that looks about right from where I'm sitting. I hope you can't see my head in this. I mean, you might be able to, but as I say, it's the first time I've used this particular rig, and it's a DIY rig. So, fingers crossed, because I've literally tried absolutely everything, short of paying over £100, I think it is, for a decent tripod with a boom that will take a camera held at right angles so you can do the overhead filming. Now I'm going to have to do some wet gluing, and to be honest with you, I really like to use wet glue because it bonds the paper together. So let's see what happens. Hope it comes out. Let's try. In case it's going to give me be a nuisance today. I use Cosmic Shimmer. I like it actually. It's if you use it carefully, it's just really good. I don't have any problems with it, and it's a lot cheaper than, you know, some of the other real designer glues that are, I'm sure they're very good, but they're also very expensive. Come on, please don't mess about. Where's my pin? Doesn't matter even if you put the pin in it, it still clogs up from time to time. There we go. There we go. Just a little bit of glue on here. Let's get this lined up. Slide up that way a bit. Right, that can just be trimmed off a tiny bit there. So I won't stick that down just yet. Just going to pick this up for a moment and just trim that level there. It's only a tiny fraction. Just makes a difference though. Stick that down. As I say, you know, I use all my scraps, and what I do is I don't move on to a new sheet of paper until I've used all my scraps. So what I do is you know, whatever I've got left over, say from this January sheet, I'll then start to use it on a different sheet that's not too close, if you know what I mean. So I think I probably used it on July or August, so whatever was left from the January, I then did July or August, something like that, or one of the other months, until all of that sheet was used up. and I'd kind of do that with all of my sheets, because I really, you know, designer papers are not cheap. They're very, very expensive, and this one was really expensive. And I like to try and conserve as much of it as I humanly can, actually. Hopefully I'll be able to get 2 albums out of this, or an album and some cards, maybe, something like that. Right, so that's that bit. I think that looks quite nice. So now it's just about placing this envelope. Now my idea was that I want to put it quite close to the bottom, because I want to put these cards in behind it and then have the envelope itself for this and anything else that she wants to put in it. So that being said, I'm just going to glue it down this side across the bottom and just a little way up this side here, and leave all this top bit and that side open, so as I can slot those cards behind it. So it's this side here that just needs the little bit. That's down there. I'm going to put a very thin bead of glue along all of these sides, because I want the maximum amount of room behind it for putting those cards in. That's all the way down that side. Right, let's see if we can get this kind of lined up where it needs to be. So like I say, I want it quite close to the bottom. In fact, I want it at the bottom, really. I want it just offset a little bit. Right, just leave that for a moment, and I'll give it a bone foldering, burnish it, while we decide what I'm going to do with the flowers and things, and the gemstones, where I'm going to put those. Because it's interesting that, you know, the gemstones for a particular month are not really, they don't really go, but that's the official line on it. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't put red garnet in January, and I certainly wouldn't have said carnations go in January, but apparently they do. Right, okay, so I have this piece which I'm thinking will go maybe along here like that, with a couple of little flowers on it. Don't want it to be too bulky. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. Right, let's get that stuck down. These are flowers I made from a punch long time ago, really a long time ago, and they've been sat in a drawer, kind of wondering what to do with them, really, because the colours didn't really go with very much that I've been doing recently, but they work out quite well for this, so yeah. And this is a little rose leaf set, but hey, who's going to know the difference? So very sparingly with the glue. Don't think I need to blot it at all. Make sure I try to avoid that closure, the envelope closure. So that's just going to go there. This Cosmic Shimmer glue is brilliant. It will stick down these sort of flowers and everything. There's no problem with it at all. As long as you can give it long enough. I'll press that down. Oops. Same with this one. Plenty of glue. Good old blob of it. Press that down. Right, so let's see how these little bits go behind it, and then I can kind of judge where to put the birthstones. Let's get this open. Like I say, I don't really want to have too much dimension on each page because I'm going to keep the spine measurement down. Let's get rid of these paper clips, these staples. Take a few rhinestones out. Yes, as you can see, it's not the best colour for going with this here, but hey ho, that's the way it is. Right, so let's open that up, put her little photo card in there, and then behind it, I'm sure she'll like these vintage images actually. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to choose this. So I shall pop these in here. This is her little calendar and to-do list. There we go. That looks very pretty, doesn't it? So maybe what I can do with these rhinestones is I can put a couple here at the bottom, sort of like that. Let's give that a go. These are not sticky back ones, so they have to be glued down. So I'll put one here. Ooh, big blob. Way too big. And I'll put one here, maybe one here, and one over here. Let's see what that looks like. And if it's too much, I can just wipe the glue off. Oops. Not the easiest things to pick up. There's one. You would have thought this birthstone was for February, wouldn't you? For Valentine's or something. But it's not. It's very strange colours for different months of the year. Now, what about a couple up here? One in the middle maybe? Sort of a 1, 2, 3. Let's have a look what that looks like. 1, 2, 3. Yeah? Right, okie dokie. Now, let me find my brand new tool. That is I've only just bought it. I don't know what I've done with it. It's for picking up the rhinestones. Aha! There it is. Let's see how well that works. So I'm going to put one in the centre, which is about there. Like I say, I don't tend to measure much. I'm just sort of doing it by eye really. One here and one about the same the other side. If I'm doing tutorials, actual tutorials, then I will measure things and give people the proper measurements and everything, but I'm just doing a work through at the moment really. Ooh, look at that, that works really well. And you can apply pressure. Ooh, I like that. That'll do. Who knew? Right, now before that's stuck down, let me just make sure that they are level. That could do with coming down a little tiny bit. And that one, let's have another look. Yep, that's okay. So that's January done. Pop these away. Before I end up spilling them everywhere. Let's see if we can get through February as well before it becomes a bit too much for filming. Right, let's pop those out of the way, get rid of the rubbish, and that is January done. Lovely. Put that aside. Right, okay, let's have a go at February then. So this is February. The colour for February is, oh, I didn't put those in it. What I'll do at the end, I'll see what punches, you know, what I can punch out and add to these. But I'll wait until I've finished. Wait until I've finished it all. So that'll go in there. They will hopefully just kind of stick behind here as well. 1, 2, they go in quite nicely. And once they've got a little picture on them and something to waterproof them, I think that'll make them really nice. Okay, so on to February, and I'll show you what I mean about the gusset. It'll make it easier if I can show it rather than just tell you about it. So February's colour apparently is dark purple. Let's move these bits out of the way. All of these bits. Now, the pages are going to need a hinge to stick it into the album, like that. But when you turn the page over, it's white, and I didn't want that. So what I've ended up having to do is to, in most cases, not this case, but I'll show you other cases, is to cut another piece that goes that side, so that they're double thickness. So only one side needs the hinge, the other side just needs to be the size of the back without the hinge on it. However, I'm not going to do that in this case. I'll do that when I get to the next page, because this is the first actual page. So that last one will be stuck to the inside cover. This is the first of the actual pages, which is February. So when I get to March, I'll show you how March goes on the back. Now, remember I told you I did one before, and then I didn't like how it was working out. So I've managed to salvage some of my sheets of paper. Part of the reason I didn't like it was because I actually put it on a black, and although it made it show up, I just didn't think that the older lady would appreciate it being black. So I kind of pulled it apart while I still could, salvaged what I could, and I'm making this out of it. Now my idea for this page was to have a page here and a shorter page that kind of opens. So it's a bit of a flip. It's something a bit different, but not so much that she wouldn't kind of be able to understand it. Then these are the papers that I've chosen for this, like that. So I thought those two go really well, and it says Secret Garden on it, which is nice. Then we come to inside, and I can either put it there again, or, oh no I can't, I have to have it that way round again. Although that could go on the outside. that could go there, to be fair, and that could go on the inside because that's the opposite of that. So once that goes under there, it could go that way, or it could go that way. And I have this, which is one of the ATC cards, which I thought she could put a to-do list on the back. I mean, again, it's fabulous because it's double-sided. I don't have to do anything to it. I'm going to put a magnet under this, and the magnet should hold that there. That's the calendar. That's going to go there. Let me close this up. So that being said, then that will go that way round. Oops. That will go that way round. The other thing I liked as well is that I quite like the wording that comes on the top of the pages, because it's got the name of each page, and this one's called Posy Patch. So I thought, you know, why not incorporate that? It's quite pretty, isn't it? Then this one here, oh, I've already stamped on here so that she knows to put her little photographs on there. And I have this, which I thought I would put on the bottom, you know, sort of stick it 3/4 of the way round, and then I could tuck this into it, maybe. Yeah, that's quite nice. Oh, it looks, the other thing I was thinking about on this page here, this main page, is to use this as a belly band and not have any fussy kind of, you know, folding and things, but just to simply stick it down at the edge, and then that can slip inside, and that goes with it as well. That's the photo thing. That could go in there as well. I think that would make it look really nice. Right, okay, let's have a go at this. Let's see what we've got here. Move some of this stuff out of the way. I'll make a decision about this in a minute. So I know for certain that this is going to go on here. So let's get the... I better do this with tape because it has already been stuck in the past and recycled. I'm all for recycling. I'm going to put a little bit extra tape on the back of this just to make absolutely certain that it sticks. Trusty acrylic block. Like I say, because this has already had stuff on it, I'm going to put a piece of tape down this as well, just to give it that little bit of extra strength. Give it a good burnish. As we did before. Oh, where's the top? Oh, it doesn't matter. as I did before, just remove a little corner of the tape. There and there. Line this up. A little bit of overhang there. Right, line this up. There we go, that looks nice. I'm keeping it away from the fold here. Don't want anything to interfere with that. Now before I whip out these two pieces, I'm actually going to take the centre piece out, because once you've taken these two out, this is an absolute devil to get out, so I'd kind of do that first. There. Now I can take these pieces out. And then that just leaves me these side pieces to remove. Oops. One. And the bottom piece. There we go. Perfect, no problem. Now that one's going to go in the middle, so I have to make sure that I've got enough room either side to stick this. So that calls for just a very small piece of bead of glue either side. I'm just going to give this a go over with the bone folder because it was cut from the other side. I'm really praying that this camera rig is working. So I'm just going to put a very fine bead of glue on here. It's not going to take any pressure, it's only going to take these couple of little cards going in it. Oh gosh, you know what I haven't done? You know what I haven't done? I have to stick a magnet on here first. I even wrote the word magnet down to remind me. So I'm going to put the magnet on the inside of this here, and that's so that the flap will stick to it. So I'm going to put it kind of more up one end than up the other. So I want the, where does the flap come to? Let's just double check. The flap comes to there, about there, which is about where those flowers are, so about there, about there. And I'm going to get a little bit of glue to put that down with. There. There. And I'm going to punch out a small circle. If I can find my punch. It's probably in the other drawer. I'm going to punch out a small circle of card just to cover that. It doesn't have to be anything special, but it just prevents the yeah, that's big enough. That's just 5/8, but it just prevents the anything from sticking on it. Now it really doesn't need to be thick paper, so I'm just going to use a bit of note-lit paper that I've got here. I'm going to punch out a small circle. There we go. You can use copy paper or anything you want really. And I'm just going to run a little bit of glue here so that when she puts the card in and out, it's not actually going to keep catching on it. Like I say, these magnets are, I didn't get the right ones, and they're not very strong. So that's why I'm putting it on the belly band here, because otherwise I would normally put it under the paper. You know, I would put it under here, under this one, but it won't go through this belly band and that as well. It just won't do it. So I'm doing it like this, and it's not a problem. There we go, that's covered, so nothing will knock onto it. Let's put that down there to redo the glue at the ends. Good job I remembered. Like I say, I had it actually written down. Now I think that's my little dog about to start barking. So I'm going to shut the door on him. Okay, so that's going to go across there, roughly about the middle. And across there. There we go. That will hold that down. Excuse me for just a moment while I shut the door, now that they've both gone outside. Right, so that's gone on there. I think that looks really pretty. Moves up and down, slides well, it's fine. This will fit in there as well. Can either go there or it can go behind it. Let's pop it behind it. So it just sticks out a bit at the top. How's that? Now, decision to be made about this. I think I'm going to have the blue side on the inside as well. Yeah, I think I will. Right, now, so the problem is, like I say, that it's white. That's an issue for me because I want this to be ivory coloured. And I cut this with an edge, well, with a pair of fancy scissors actually. And I didn't really fancy trying to line up a piece of ivory coloured paper to kind of match that. So what I have done is I've cut a piece of lace that will go behind it. So it gives a nice edge to it, but also it, you know, you can't see that it's white this side, and where it shows through the other side, it's just quite pretty. So that's absolutely fine. So let's get this stuck down, which I'm going to do with wet glue. Move that out of the way for the moment. Wet glue is quicker. And it's not taking any weight, so it's fine. Come on, wet glue, don't mess about. Picks now to play up, doesn't it? It's always the way. That's better. It's going to burst out in a great big bubble soon, you watch. Just really mess things up. There it is. There's the plug. Finally come out. There we go. Doesn't need too much. Tweezers. There they are. And this doesn't. There isn't a top or bottom to it. I've cut this the same size as the card because I don't want there to be an edge showing around this. It's just a shame that this card is, you know, ivory on one side and white on the other. But there you go. Right, so that's bone folded down. Give it a good burnish, spread it all out. Yeah, it goes that way round. Now this lace I've bought has already got tape on the back of it, which I wouldn't normally use, but it's fine. It's got it, it's got it. So let's see how this will work out. It just means that I have to be really careful how I place it. Put the tape off of there, because I don't want the tape, I don't want the stickiness to come over the front of the lace. Now, before I go mad with burnishing, let's just see if there's any stickiness through to the other side. No, there isn't. That's fine. So I can press that all down. There we go. That's going to slide under there. And because there's going to be a backing piece on here, I don't mind that that is... you know what, I haven't put the magnet on. Let's see if I can get this up before it actually sticks down properly. Nope. No can do. Okay, never mind. I'm just so stupid when it comes to these magnet business. Right, let's stick this together. I need it in sort of, you know, big neon lights. Magnet. Okay, some glue. And to line this up underneath here and take it up as far as that fold line, but not over it, so it doesn't interfere with it at all. Fold it over and make sure that it is level. And then press that down. There we go, that's my dog's barking. I'm really sorry about that. But you will hear that from time to time. There we go. Right, so that goes that way up. Now, what I can do is I can put this on the inside, and I can put that there and tuck that inside it like that, and then I can put my magnet on here. Right. Okie doke, except the magnet is there. How far over does that magnet come? Oh, it's on this side. Oh, that's okay, it won't make any difference. This can go this side. Tuck under there. You see, it's all meant to be. It's all meant to be. And then that will slide in there and it will hide the magnet. So let's see where the magnet needs to come to. Come on out. Considering they don't do their job on the paper, they pretty stick to each other very well. There we go. Now where's that going to come to? That's going to come to there, which is fine by me. So I need a little bit of glue on here. I need to slip a bit of paper between the two magnets, there and there, and stick that over. Hold it just for a second or two. Actually, while that's holding, I can be doing this bit. So again, I'm going to, no, actually I better use tape on this because it had wet glue on it before. Right, tape. And then it's just a case of thinking about where I'm going to put some flowers and where I'm going to put the gemstones. Now, not every page has got somewhere for a photo, you know, properly earmarked out for it. Some I've just left it to her where she wants to put a photo. Maybe she doesn't want to. I mean, there's not an awful lot to be photographed in February that's much different to January, so I kind of haven't included one on this side. Right, now let's get that lined up with there. And I have that I have that word line that's holding those two magnets apart at the moment that's going to go up there, that makes up for that little gap. Like I say, I try to use everything when it comes to the paper, even the tiniest scraps. So that's going there. Make sure that's lined up, giving us as much of a straight line as I can get. That's interesting. Some bits of the black paper have shown through. Never mind. That won't show in a moment. I will remove that. There, and come off. There and there. Move that out of the way. What I'm going to do afterwards then is I'm going to go down this with a craft knife and just remove those tiny, tiny little pieces of the black paper that have peeked through, that this was stuck onto before. Oh, actually it's all coming off now as I'm doing this. That's fine, it will just be removed there. Okay, that's okay actually. So I'll kind of clean it up with a craft knife if it needs it afterwards. I don't think it's going to need it now. Right, now let's see if this magnet has stuck. It has, that's perfect. I'm now going to cover this with this. So I'm just going to stick down this outside edge and tuck it under the lace. Oh, excuse me. There we go, and that'll act as a tuck spot for this. So So let's just stick this down. Make sure this is the right way up. Yep, that's violet there. Pop that in the middle. Like that. Give it a little burnish. You see here it's absorbed the ink quite a bit into the card. So it's a thicker line than I would have liked, but there's nothing I can do about it. And then that will slide underneath there like that. Yep, that will close up with the magnet. Just about, you see, it just about holds it, and that's just with that, and that's just under there. Ridiculous magnets these are. I bought the wrong ones. Right, now this, despite the fact that it has been stuck before, I am actually going to use the wet glue. See if I can get any more of this black off of it here. Might mean removing a layer of that paper, but that's fine by me. As long as it means that I can get a nice clean edge. Recycle, reuse. It's coming off okay. Seems to be anyway. And then if you have any mistakes, you just cover them up with embellishments. Simple. Wow, that really does stick down well, that glue. It's brilliant. Just this last little bit, that's fine. Right, let's get this glued down. Then we can just add the final embellishment, and that will be enough for this video. And I will do the next 2 months in the next video afterwards. So this paper was called Posy Patch. That's what I'm going to stick on there. Like that. I'm going to add these little flowers and the gemstones. Don't like those bits in the middle of those flowers, so they can come out, and I'll add gemstones in there. Take those out. Come on, don't mess about. It's like it's been stuck in with super glue. Normally they fall out the second you touch them, but these, just because I want it to. So, where shall we put this? Here, here, here. How about up there? With a couple of nice flowers and the gemstones. Yeah, that's pretty, isn't it? Right, let's do that. A bit of glue. Way too much because it's blobbing out all over the place now. Just when you don't want it to. But that's fine because I have a little piece of damp paper towel here, which I'm just going to blot this on. She says. Haha, never done that before. How odd. Yuck. Right, so that's going to go at that angle. These are just little punched out or die cut leaves. that I have. I tend to make up quite a lot of them in one go, and then I've always got them as a stash. They're really useful. I just don't think you can have enough greenery, to be honest with you, when it comes to doing, you know, embellishments. Let's use that to wipe that bottle. Put the lid on. Add a couple of gemstones. As I say, the colour for this month is this light purple. Is this the light purple? I think it is. Couple out. Yeah, light purple. So we'll have one in each of the flowers. 1, 2. Where's my little pick stick? Love this tool. Don't know why I didn't get one before. Ooh, they're a bit big. Never mind. I don't think she's going to sit there and pick it apart and say, oh, I don't like that because it's too big. Right, let's put a couple of more little dots about the place. Bubble. There we go. As far as I am concerned, that is done, and it looks very nice. I'm sure she'll be very happy with it. So these can go inside here. Lift up. One, 2. That will close over there and hold it all together. Let's tidy up this stuff, and that will be the end of the video for now. There we go. And I'll come back to you with March and April's. Yeah, I think I'm pleased with that. Thank you for watching.